Can I see my shot very quick?
You look beautiful. You got a haircut for this.
I did. I took a shot and everything.
When I first met Icaro, he had this floppy hair.
I know. It's still on his picture on one of his profiles.
He was like a Casanova.
Right. How you doing? He's not a Casanova anymore?
No.
As Boo Boo. All right, Joe, tee it up.
All right, so it's roundtable time, end of season 2, which is the robots. Are they coming to save us or kill us? And as always, the team is present and having their favorite moments and favorite clips, and oftentimes at my expense. So we've got Cheryl, who is our producer.
Hello.
John, who handles Steadicam and audio and is the snappiest headdresser.
Howdy.
Marco, lead editor, and of course, Icaro, our DP. And I'm Joe Mullings, the host. So this is where we have fun with everybody at our expense and show you a little behind the scenes stuff. So what do we got up first, Mother?
Number 10, Jay. So I think this is a good example of doing anything it takes to get the shot.
Yep.
Right?
And it started raining. And Icky's like, you're like, oh, you want to have another drink? He's like, no, we're going back to the hotel. Let's go. Nicole, run. And they just left. And they went back and they got the camera and threw a 45-pound tripod on a 35-pound girl walking around Germany in the rain with plastic on, getting all this footage.
And Icky's always taught me early, he's like, shooting the extremes.
Yeah.
That's where the beauty is.
Those
Right?
are some of my favorite
Nighttime,
shots.
twilight,
Lightning.
Germany, the light, the lightning. The challenge with Icky, though, is he's an Energizer bunny. Once you put the camera on and you give him enough batteries, he will go for hours and hours and hours. Like, Icky, you got enough? No, just one more minute. Right?
That's a great thing, though.
That's a great thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I think Marco, the guys in the edit, they set up a good vibe to the video, so we always looking for those elements, like he can use a rain shot and thunderstorm, like
Or
the
a reflection
universe
in
is
a window.
giving it to
yeah,
us. Let's f***ing get it,
Okay, number 2.
3 years ago had the highest murder rate in Dade County.
There he is. It was 116 degrees that day, and he was wearing jeans and a sweater when I first showed
It's
up.
like he's running the wrong direction. It's like, no. I'm behind the guy in the red, by the way. Who did that to
We're
you,
going
Jay?
to West Palm, Jay.
Somebody else.
Jay does ride his bike to work every day, so he was ready
Got
for
good
this.
cardio.
And his shots were steadier than the
Yeah.
gimbal that
He
day.
separated himself.
There he is right there again.
You use those shots.
Yeah.
Yes!
Oh, yeah. Look at him.
I didn't even know this fucking Jay. Look at
His name out there, everybody knows who he is. And work like that,
That's a commercial for what?
Excuse me, lady, nothing to say.
That came in.
Because basically what happened was we weren't getting signal from the car on the GoPro, so you had to jump on the golf cart. And so
And the rig was
then,
moving
but
around.
I was like, we're getting no tracking shots. So I was like, Jay, just go chase him. That was my fault.
This is season 2. We introduced Jay as the creeper on season 1. Come on, Jay.
I don't love calling Jay the creeper.
Yeah,
But it's not creeper in a creep way.
I get
it's
it,
Like
I
he's
get
always
it.
around, so he's creeping.
Jason is the behind the scenes camera person. So he basically has to be invisible and capturing all the that's happening behind the scenes where no one's looking. So he's great at it because Jason's the silent killer. You don't know when he's around. And all of a sudden he creeps up on you and you're like, motherfucker.
It's creeping.
It is creepy.
You can't use
but
any
I
word.
don't find Jason creepy.
He's not a creep.
No.
It's
I
creeper.
don't find him creepy.
No.
So that's all.
Yeah,
I wanted
and-
to clear his reputation. You appreciate it.
Jason's role is critically important because one of the things that we strive for early on is knocking down that fourth wall and then giving people intention on how the sausage is made. So, Jay does that with a $3,000 rig while Icky has a $500,000 set up in his portfolio. So
So we just need 4 J's and we're good.
Where
just need
did
4
all
Jason.
the money go?
this guy and Leah.
watching Jay sprint there, I'm not surprised at all because he'll do anything for the shot. So whenever you see any of direct-to-camera going on within True Future or the teasers, it's always Jay on the other side of it, and I think I do a lot of head nods to him while we release stuff because I think that's really the magic of the show as well. It's like the Egyptians.
Thank you.
Which much cold you want, sir?
Can we put more?
Who did walk me here?
Is he German? Or is that US?
No, there's a German guy in Germany.
Of course. It's so funny.
I'm like, I got these 3 cards. Icky's like, I
Is
got
that
these
Icky?
4.
Fuck it.
We do a group hug every time for the new people that are flying with us first time. And then we
He's like, nah.
As you can see, our cargo van is very big, and we're very excited. It can fit all of our 22 cases of gear. Woo! Are we only at 22? Only.
Oh, this music, dude, is freaking great.
Paige, why don't you come in and talk to us about
Paige, tell
the
us
gear?
about it. So what went on there, Paige? How many boxes?
So we have 22 cases. We get to the airport like 5 hours early so we can do our carnet and customs.
What kind of stress do you feel on travel days,
Oh
Paige?
gosh, it's the worst day. It's the worst day.
Why?
Because
It's a terrible day.
yeah, if anything goes wrong, it's just you're dealing with TSA.
Icaro
Yeah,
Godoy.
Agro.
So we travel with 22 cases, which is a huge amount. And what's that process like? How do we get that gear to a foreign country?
So you basically have to have a passport for your gear to get anywhere foreign. So that's what we call a carnet. And so we basically have to get to customs super early. They look at all your gear.
I mean, like literally, that carnet has to include every single item that is not directly associated with another item because they're afraid of you selling it in the other country. That's the reason
The
behind
issue.
the carnet. And on the way out, we have issues sometimes too.
Oh yeah, Joe, do you want to talk about that when you couldn't get out of you couldn't leave Dublin?
I could not leave Dublin, but Icky, being the good Brazilian he was, knew what was going to happen. He's like, "Hey, can you hold this for me?" and gave me a $70,000 rig. And it was my first time. I was a virgin. And so I'm waiting in the immigration line like, okay, I'm helping out Icky because his hands are filled with nothing. And I get to the counter and the lady goes, "Oh, how much is that camera?" And I'm like, I thought she was admiring it. I'm like, "Oh, this here?" You know. And they shuttle me into this room. I'm like, "Oh, you're not leaving the country because you don't have the paperwork." I'm like,
yeah.
Yeah, and that's when we found out about
that's how we
carnets.
find out about carnets.
All right, Jay, play 4.
Buy a round for me, buy a round.
Whose head was that, you?
Yeah.
We'll pay you in alcohol.
Well done.
Here's the thing: when we're filming documentary style, filming live, you're against the elements. Sometimes the elements work in your favor, like a rainstorm or a great sunset. Noise, though, you can't control. So if you're shooting in a bar at 5 p.m. in Boston when a Red Sox game is on, you're gonna get screwed.
And you
because
asked them to be quiet.
they're gonna hate you even more.
Yeah.
And our audio was a really tough night, so I think Joe ended up dropping a ton of money to buy everyone drinks to shut up so we could finish the scene. Is that right?
Yeah, that's how it rolls, Johnny. How was it on your side?
Yeah, there's 2 ways. I could go crazy right now, or I could just, it is what it is.
And sometimes John will look at me and be like, he'll give me that look like, this isn't good.
Yeah, it's
And
not
I'll-
a dirty look.
No,
it's
but
in
like
between
a
look.
this, and I'm like, and he's like, it's bad. And I'm like, keep going.
So again, like Icky, when he looks at a shot and the construct of a shot and the lighting and everything else, he's going to be hypercritical. And the same with you is you're constructing your shot from an auditory perspective. and you're thinking about always worst case, like, it's good enough.
Yeah.
You're always thinking about liability for the producer and the editing team.
Well, that's it. And to synthesize it down, I know he edits in his head when he's shooting. I edit in my head when I'm doing sound. And I know what can possibly be done. I know what's passable. Those kind of situations, yeah, you're making the decision that do we go with it or do we stop? Because I'm listening to the conversation. The conversation's really good. I don't want to stop that. I'll never stop that unless it's over, and then we'll say, hey, this is not working.
And the bottom line is if you don't have clean audio, you don't have a scene. Audio, people forget how important audio is to a scene, but again, you're making that decision, it's clean enough, or is it good enough? And at that point, you don't want to stop the content because what you guys are getting is really magical. The bar is a little distracting, but we're in a bar and it's not distracting enough to have to hold the scene.
Plus the lubrication makes the interview so much better.
Yeah, you get people drunk. Look at all of us.
Miami style gods. MSG, ladies and gentlemen, are you ready to rumble?
Let's give Cheryl her pickup. So I'm going to ask you what is MSG, and then you're going to tell me. But look at me because we have to stay in the scene we were in before. You good?
The staring contest.
So what does MSG stand for?
Who is it? What is it? Who is your daddy and where does he come from?
That's my favorite line.
Miami suckers doing graffiti? No, Miami style gods.
Best character to date.
Well, so Chrome's an interesting character. When you're shooting stuff like this, you're dealing with real people, you're chasing real stories, and sometimes real people are not the easiest to chase down. And they don't always want to be on camera, but if you get them, it will buy you something. It will get you, you'll tell a new story, you'll dive deep into a new person, you'll learn something that you don't know. And I wanted fucking Chrome, because I was like, this is gonna be good. And he was avoiding my phone call day after day after day after day, week after week, and the night before the shoot, he called me, he's like, okay, I'm in.
I mean, he's an old school OG graph guy that one of the most respected in South Florida, that when you're walking into a guy like that, you're walking into meeting, a Brooklyn street dude, a
Little royalty?
Like he's an OG, yeah. He's like everybody knows him and he's well respected.
He wanted to make sure he wasn't going to get screwed because he had gotten screwed previously with an expose on some show that really misrepresented him.
Yep.
One of the challenges we'll always have with TF is never playing gotcha TV, but also never being a laydown, but like telling the truth.
Yep.
And we don't want it to be at somebody's expense either, especially when they're willing to take a risk with us.
Sometimes the best stories are the most difficult to get, but that's part of the process.
And once we sat with him, though, he was incredibly generous.
So generous.
I mean, he laid down history. He laid down stories, intimate stories of his childhood.
Parents,
his
mother,
parents,
his father.
his mother,
Yeah.
being run over by a car. He sent the crew a whole bunch of pieces, and he continues to stay connected with us today. And I think that was one of the things I didn't expect sitting in the host seat, is the receivership I've had from stories of world-class CEOs and billion-dollar companies down to perceived gangsters who are these street artists, across the road to, a family that's 5 generations holding together a restaurant. The gifts that people give to us on their stories, unedited and like totally trusting, says a lot for our crew and our approach to things too.
I think the viewer also wanna, when they watch our show, they know the people that we're putting in front of them is worth listening to. And somehow in that series, they're gonna connect it. And it's almost like a challenge for them to put those two pieces together.
That's a
criminal.
great point. That's a great point. No, that's a great point. We have unconventional programming right now. And Icky brings up a great point, is we will connect somebody in episode 1 with episode 3 and episode 2 with episode 7, and then reach back and pull somebody back in. So it's a very unique programming.
Where this is two opposite people coming together that have nothing in common, and they're doing the same thing in the same environment. So it's like, it's kind of like even when we went through the thing with Germany with the, bringing in immigration and relating it to KUKA, you're bringing two worlds that have nothing in common, but to me, they have everything in common because they're in the same place with the same goal.
The same challenges,
You know?
you were referring to the KUKA and having the world accept robotics.
Yeah.
And then Germany and immigration, having Germany accept these asylum seekers and non-Germans, and how those parallels go together.
Come back to see Icky take his pants off.
There's a lot more coming after that. I've been threatened that Icky was going to take his black pants and shirt off, but that's not going to happen, thank God. But come back next week. We've got a lot more for you. This is just the start. Enjoy.